Bible underneath my right hand. I made it out of tight jams. Guns all on my nightstand. My life should be on Viceland. My fingertips to hold the marijuana aroma. High school, I went to school high, still got my diploma. He got riddled and left alone for some Skittles in Arizona. Bible underneath my right hand. I made it out of tight jams.
Uncreative Radio. I am here with my main man, Ricky. Dude, thank you for coming on and doing this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
We met because we were doing an ad for Bobby and Turn Florida Blue, and you were running for state rep of District 118.
Oh, look at you. Yeah. Down in the west side of Miami. Yeah. Back when we thought we could actually win something there.
So what made you want to run?
Honestly, I had friends who were wanting to run.
Okay.
But didn't have a huge profile and were having trouble raising money. And I was like, you know what? We can turn this into a marketing branding
and make it a
campaign,
thing.
Make it a thing.
Right.
You know, win the west side.
Right.
We don't have anything out west in Miami, and let's try it. Obviously, it didn't work.
It didn't work, but it didn't it's not that it didn't work for you. It didn't work for like Democrats. It didn't work for anybody.
I will say it did work.
Okay.
Right? We did raise our profiles.
For sure.
We did create a buzz around.
It was on the radar, for sure.
It was on everybody's radar.
Absolutely.
People were talking about us, asking us to be doing interviews for national organizations.
Right.
Because they believed in the concept.
Yes, for sure.
You know, how can you be these first-time candidates banding together, sharing resources, sharing knowledge.
Exactly.
You know, telling consultants, hey, I'm going to talk to my best buddy who might not have you as a client.
Right.
And we're going to figure out what's working, what's not working, and move on if we have to. And we did.
Why do you think it didn't work? Like there were so many people, and people Francesca, Debbie, people, Javier, you know what I mean? Why didn't it? What do you think was the deal?
Honestly, I'm a numbers guy.
Okay.
In 2016 and 2018, I look at the returns of the early vote and vote by mail numbers.
Yeah.
And I know based on what traditionally happens on election day, which way it's going to go because of the margin size.
Okay.
So I sat at my computer election night, opened up the laptop.
Yeah.
I saw the early returns come in. That's all vote by mail, all early voting.
That's your Dems.
And I was like, that gap, those gaps, they're too big.
What's the deal? Why? And what's specifically up with Florida? And then, the Hispanic and Latino community in Florida, a lot of that was the vote wasn't the same as it was for Hillary than that year. What do you think that is?
Honestly, I was thinking about this a minute ago, so it's fresh. We created a Kool-Aid, right? The three of us or the four of us running.
Right.
We created a Kool-Aid. We stirred the pot.
Right.
We got people excited, but then ultimately you have to get the voters to want to drink that Kool-Aid. They didn't want to drink our Kool-Aid,
Why
but
not?
they were diving into Donald Trump's Kool-Aid.
But they were drinking Kool-Aid. Why
they were chugging that stuff.
But why are you drinking that Kool-Aid? You know what I mean? What was the deal?
And that's the question that Manny Diaz, as the new state chair, is going to have to figure out. Why did they drink that Trump Kool-Aid? And it's not that they didn't just drink it; they were guzzling it down.
They're like everything you say.
And the problem is, you had independents.
Yeah.
Usually, traditionally, you would say in Miami-Dade County, independents skew Democratic.
But what's the appeal? What's Trump's appeal amongst Hispanics and Latino people? What's the appeal?
Yeah. So, and I tried to explain this in many different ways to people. It's the ability to differentiate between where you're from, right? So Donald Trump doesn't talk in the way of the African American community or the Latino community. No, he goes straight for the jugular.
Right.
He's like, Haitians come from shithole countries.
Right.
He's going straight there. Venezuelans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. He goes for Mexicans. Right. He is going down to other you from your own community.
Right.
And so it's very easy for him to do that.
But doesn't that alienate you from, doesn't that say, hey, I'm not going to vote for this guy?
Well,
he's
it does to me, but to my parents' generation, and this is the part that's a little scary, right? It's like you understand where your parents come from.
Right.
You understand what your parents fled.
And what they had to do.
And what they had to do to get here.
Right.
So then it blows your mind that they're drinking this Kool-Aid.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, I can understand how they drank the Fidel Kool-Aid. Sure. I can understand how they drank the the Kool-Aid in Nicaragua
For sure.
or what have you. It's like, it's crazy because it's the same Kool-Aid,
Right.
right? And they're still drinking it. It's like, it's like, what is it called? Seeing something happen the same way over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just that this time
Did
they're
your-
in a democratic country, but still following this guy who
Did your
Clearly.
parents vote for him?
yeah.
That's crazy.
My parents, my best friend's parents, and I have friends who
Is it so? Is something in that demo was like, what was it about? What was it about Biden that they were just like he's too white? Just
honestly, it was twofold. One, Republicans and the Trump campaign did very well in making fun of Biden.
Sure.
Making fun of Biden for his stutter. Making fun of Biden that he's senile and he's out of it already.
Do you think people? So you think people? Because I was talking to some other people about this. Like he was making fun of people, and that guy in school that did that made fun of people. He was kind of popular.
Yeah, and honestly, my stepdad, who him and I go back and forth, he's a huge Trumper. He's like, oh no, Ricky, I'm not racist, this and that. But Pocahontas, haha, it's so funny. And it's like
That's wild.
That is, and you can tell it to them, and it doesn't process, and they still roll their eyes and think that you're being super too educated or
Right.
you left Florida and went to the Northeast to get your college education.
Right. So you lost who you were.
You got indoctrinated into the liberal
Right.
rights or
Right. You were
something. Yeah.
brainwashed. Do you think like your stepdad and these people that voted for Trump and they didn't vote for Biden, are they like, how far are they? Do they think like the attack on the Capitol that is not a big deal and the Democrats are blowing it out of proportion? Do they think that Trump won? Do they think that Trump won?
So
Does your stepdad think that Trump won?
my stepdad thinks that the election was stolen from Trump,
Stop it.
but not necessarily
Like-
believing that all of this fraud everywhere. But he thinks that the establishment
But define
together,
That. What do you
you know,
mean? Do you
and-
mean that there were so many votes for Trump and then people in
No,
black
he's talking
mass-
about like you did everything you could to bash him.
Got it.
You made up all these different things
you
to
did all
bash
this,
him,
and that's why.
that's what changed the vote.
Got it,
Not
got it,
necessarily that they believe that there's like
Do you-
boxes of votes somewhere.
People are eating
Yeah,
ballots.
no. But they'll say, oh, the Capitol riot. Oh, not many people got hurt.
That's crazy.
It wasn't a big deal.
That's crazy.
But the thing is and what's crazy is this is a Latino community
Right.
that's been ostracized so many times.
That's what I mean.
And they're looking at that, and because it's a sea of white people,
They don't
right,
really care.
or is it that we're all conditioned, right? We're all conditioned to see that and say, hey, it's white people.
We have been conditioned to see these
it's not
riots.
a big deal.
We saw Charlottesville. We saw this for the
No,
last 4 years.
I'm saying you see that crowd, and you see it's all black and brown people.
And you're
marching
conditioned.
on the
Yes.
Capitol, you're conditioned to say,
Say,
"Oh,
that's
that's
the
the
thing."
worst thing in
Right,
the world."
right.
But it's a bunch of white people with a big beard and their
So, like, this
their
has gotta
American
be-
flag bandana.
Gotta be good.
It's like,
They gotta be doing
it's not
something
that it's
right.
not a big deal.
That's interesting.
And the thing is, these are minority communities.
That's why this is.
But you're conditioned to
blowing my
think that.
mind with this crazy shit. Like that's
it's not-
unbelievable.
It's not crazy stuff. It's actually happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think? What was your response when you saw like January 6th, and where were you, and what were you?
Honestly, I was in my house. What was I even? I was watching. I don't know. I work in media. I work for Sierra Club. I run their press shop in Florida and across the Midwest. And we're excited. It's the beginning of January.
Right.
Biden's talking about all these executive orders on day one.
Right.
And so we're working on this stuff. We're working on how that impacts Tennessee and Kentucky and Ohio, all of these places in the Midwest where you have a lot of coal and you have a lot of climate issues. So I was really busy. I was watching the news just because I keep it on in the background while I'm working from home.
Okay.
And all of a sudden,
It was wild.
it was wild. Obviously, everybody's got CNN on in the background.
Yeah.
Because certifying the elect. This is the last
day.
This is the last line, right?
And they're voting.
It's the last day, right?
Congress is up there voting.
We had, I didn't, but I know friends that had a bottle of champagne with a different date on it, right? The date in December when the electors
Like
went and
December 20th,
submitted their,
right.
Yeah. Then they had their bottle for like, each day, and the last
wild.
bottle was the 20th.
Wow.
And so, of course, you're listening to it in the background, and you hear that there's going to be people disputing electors in different states and stuff. And okay, fine. The original anticipation was, it's going to take 24 hours to get through this,
Right.
Because we got to go through the motions.
Right.
Then out of nowhere,
Wild.
I didn't know that Trump was doing a rally the day of.
Same. I don't.
But then it was like, how did this happen? Oh, he led a rally.
And he's like,
and all these crazy people talked.
And they parlor. They were brewing it. They got a stew and and then they did it. Do you think it's Trump's fault? Do you think how much of the responsibility do you think is on Trump and his team?
So I'll ask you this question: would those people have even been there without Trump?
Hey, now you're asking smart stuff. You're asking smart guy stuff.
Well, no. I mean, there's a difference between people that would organically get together.
Sure.
We see this at La Carreta in Miami.
Sure.
Right? You have the Trumpers with their flags even now.
Right, they just
They're
get
like,
together.
it was stolen, this happened, it's crazy.
Right.
You have 15, 20, 30 people.
Right.
And that's normal.
That's it, right. I see that at Target up here all the time.
In this case, you had someone, in this case, the President of the United States, for months.
Right.
Since the election.
Right.
January 6th, come up.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's rally. And then on top of that, let's put together the stage and the speakers and the projectors
and let's fire everybody.
Fire everyone up.
Walking down there.
Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy Giuliani, man.
Rep Cawthorn and
people
and
that are
Green,
people in leadership and Donald Jr. All these people that are saying crazy, the trial by combat, saying crazy ass shit.
And then honestly, if you were to take things individually, you'd say, okay, that might not matter as much.
Sure.
But when you think of these kinds of civil unrests, right, and how everything just ramps up and riles up that crowd, you understand something like what Senator Hawley did with his fist raised in the air, walking into the Capitol.
What a jackass.
On its own, you'd say, okay, not a big thing. There's 20, 30 people there. Right. And these are the people who vote for him and for Donald Trump.
Sure.
But knowing that there was this rally, knowing that there was, tens of thousands of people there, right? Knowing that they were riling themselves up and you're seeing them at the Capitol as you're walking in, you're mindful of these things. You can't say that you just did that. Right. There was an intention there.
Right.
Donald Trump telling people to walk down to the
I'll be with
Capitol.
You.
There's an intention there.
Right. Without saying it, do you think? What do you think? What do you think the Senate's going to do?
They're gonna acquit him. They're not gonna convict him unless, right? I mean, you already saw some hints of it, right? You saw Senator Portman from Ohio, a state that I've covered for over 6 years on the environmental beat. He's actually said, "Hey, I'm not running for re-election. I'm done." Someone like him is like someone like Senator Flake from out west, saying, "Hey, this isn't my party anymore.
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore."
And then it freed him up to just be himself the last couple of months that he was in office. The same thing for Portman now. Does someone like Senator Portman give inspiration or give way to a small chunk of Republicans who do believe that he should be held accountable, to account? And the thing is like nobody believes that another president's going to do what Trump did.
Right.
It's just so far out from anything.
I don't think they're gonna.
But it might happen. You're going to start now a trial where information's going to come out.
And a lot of information. I mean, there are police officers. So many police officers got hurt, lost their eye. I mean, all this crazy stuff that's coming out. A lot of people got hurt. People got killed.
Well, the Capitol Police, officers are considering holding a vote of no confidence for their entire leadership that was on call and working the day of the insurrection.
Right. It's wild, man. Because
of their failure to do anything.
I don't think he's going to get convicted. I just think that's the way it goes. And I wish he would. I mean, if I was in Senate, I would vote for sure. But the way we see these things, pan out, I mean, he should have been, impeached and removed like a while ago.
Yeah.
But here we are. Do you think? And for you, do you think you're gonna run again? Like, what does it feel like? What does it feel like election night to like open the laptop and be like, oh damn, like what does that feel like?
It sucks. But you know what? And I've said this to so many people. You'll get to know me a lot better over time, and you'll be like, okay, that's a Ricky thing to say. But I just looked around and I said, you know what? I feel better that we all lost
Yeah, than if you lost.
than if it was me and be like, oh,
No, that makes sense.
the leader of
No, that's good.
this crazy idea.
No, that's good.
And you suck.
Because how much would it feel if everyone else, like Francesca and everyone else won, and it was just your district?
Honestly,
that was like,
at the same time, but then at the same time, it's like, yo, enough people drank the Kool-Aid and it worked.
Right.
So like for me,
Right.
it was always a win-win.
Right.
Running the way that we did.
Is it deflating though? Like whenever you put yourself out there, when you run for office, you put yourself out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you got ads, you're on pieces of paper, but you're doing these things. Does it deflate you? Like, were you just like, ah, man, or does it fire you up?
I guess both. It deflated me honestly in the moment,
Dude.
to say, damn it, man. Like, so when you do things for the right reasons, and for me it was, this isn't my end game, right? I'm 34 years old.
Sure.
This is
not
the start.
Right, this is the start of it, right.
And for me, it's like, I've been part of this for so long. I was chair of the county party in Miami-Dade. Like, I've been here.
Right.
But in my head, it was like, damn it, if I get this opportunity to be able to lead and be a leader, an elected leader, I'm not taking that for granted. And you're going to see balls to the wall, someone who's considerate and trying to do things, not so much to gain credit for it, but to build something. That's what it was like, damn, this sucks. Because I was like, people are going to have to look out, right? The moment I get in there.
Right, you're coming for souls.
I'm coming for everybody. It's like Democrat, Republican, Independent, other, like whatever. Like we have gotten to a point where, the Democratic Party is reeling right now.
Right.
Reeling. And the conversations that are being had are horrible.
It was a weird win. On election night, the whole team was here. We were like white girls at a Drake concert listening to sad songs. It was
that's depressing.
Why
Drake?
Because it's just like, Marvin's Room.
Yeah.
You're just sad, like some sad Drake songs. We were just watching the numbers for you guys, all of you guys, and
it sucked.
Dude, it was a bad night, and we had worked with you guys so closely, and so we were just like super bummed. And then Biden came out ahead. We lost Florida. That was we were just watching everyone that we knew, and it was super sad. And then Biden was coming out ahead in other states, but not Florida. So it was a really weird win. We won the presidency, but it felt like we didn't win.
Oh, and the best part for us was like, oh, let's have a watch party together.
Stop.
And we did. We had a watch party together
you didn't.
in a neutral environment.
That's a horrible idea. That's a horrible idea.
It was like we could do something at home with our family, or Francesca and I talked and we found a ballroom at the Hilton at Baptist Hospital. So it's like, oh, it's going to be sanitary. It's going to be safe.
Right.
Right.
It's neutral. It's nobody.
They need the business.
That's crazy.
Right? And it didn't cost much because they were
wanting
us there.
Yeah.
And so it was Francesca and I and both of our families.
No.
Javi came.
No.
Cindy came at the end
it.
of the night. And it was like, damn, maybe this wasn't the best idea. Because we're all processing in a very different way. Oh, man. That's when you find out who your friends or how your friends deal.
What was it like getting on Twitter?
Oh.
The next day, or what were some of the things people said, and what was like getting on Twitter? What's it like to lose something that was so important? Because every time, for me, I would have never had the balls to be at the Hilton. I would have been like at my.
And Bobby and them were all in like this bunker.
What?
Like, oh guys, when you're done your thing with your own event, come down to ours, and we'll do like a press conference. Everybody will have a great time. And we were all like, because you're setting yourself up, right?
I literally thought
hyping each other up.
But when we were doing it, I thought everybody was gonna win. I thought everybody. I mean, I thought
we had thousands of dollars of champagne ready to go.
with champagne,
Oh, man.
we were ready to rock and roll, and we thought it was just you guys were just gonna clean up.
Oh yeah, no, and obviously we all had all these different plans.
Yeah. Why do the Republicans? Why are they such a great team? Why do they? You go back to Roy Moore and Trump, and it doesn't really matter what happens or what anyone says. Doesn't matter how many shades of blackface you wear. Why are they such a team? Kavanaugh and all of it. It's funny to me when Kavanaugh was in, I was like, man, it was interesting that there was all these allegations of stuff, but isn't that just enough to get you out? Don't you have to be like a clean as a whistle? And everyone's like, the Republican team is just
So
why?
it's easier for a Republican to win office if they're imperfect than it is for a Democrat.
Because Democrats set ourselves on fire.
Well, it's not we don't set ourselves on fire. We set each other on fire.
That's what I mean. We set
each other on
Democrats
fire.
do this stuff to Democrats.
Oh yeah, all the time. Oh, you're not liberal. You're not progressive enough.
Right.
Or you're not.
And then they call.
You're not a centrist. You're not a moderate. All sides.
I was so ticked that Al Franken stepped down. That just pissed me off. And it was just like, it was the height of the Me Too movement. And he took that picture like he was touching some girl's boobs. He wasn't touching their boobs. He was just doing a picture as a joke. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He stepped down. We lost a seat. There was a seat, you know.
But to be honest, at the same time, in the moment, Al Franken was not a comedian.
Sure.
Right? He was a U.S. senator.
Sure.
And so there's a lesson to be learned in saying that and understanding that. I don't think he needed to step down.
But yeah, do you think
Yeah.
it was? I definitely think like you had to be like, oh God, it probably wasn't the right idea. But I guess there's something in the sense of like, you and I both have had conversations with people where we've been like, oh my bad, I wasn't trying to say that. That's not what I really meant.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's no place for that anymore.
But there's something to be gained by getting you to acknowledge
That my bad.
that error.
That was messed
that
up.
error, like genuinely acknowledge that error, and work overtime to make
make
sure
sure it
that
doesn't-
other people understand why that was an error.
But
there's value in that.
I agree.
Yeah.
But do you think that it matters? Like on the grand scheme of things, like Republicans don't do that. And Democrats, we're sitting around here trying to figure out, do you understand like how you offended my people or where I'm from? And we're like, oh my God, yeah, maybe I shouldn't, blah, blah, step down, blah. And they're just like running wild.
And
you
that's
know?
and so then
Are we
that's
playing too nice? Like is what I'm saying. Like, do we care about the wrong stuff?
that we're playing too nice. Yes, definitely. I don't know.
Do it.
Someone
Say
in leadership in Florida, told me just that. It's like, Ricky, take the gloves off. You know, I had information.
Yeah.
Against my opponent.
And you didn't put it out there.
A lot of information, and I didn't put it out there because in my head, right, I was above that.
And you're choosing the higher road. And
Yeah, and doing all that stuff, and then he comes out with a commercial
And just
that's completely false,
and fabricated. And they
false
don't-
and fabricated,
they don't care.
and poor quality. And
Right.
you know what? But the message
was so
was a winning message.
it-
You have Michael Bloomberg and you have
Right.
AOC high-fiving each other, saying that I'm their homeboy,
right,
and that resonates.
That's it, because people are
Yeah.
like, yeah, and people, and also the if the gossip, that's the juicy gossip. That's what people want to believe, whether it's real, true, fake. It doesn't really matter. People want to hear that rather than like the truth. And I think we saw so much of that. And
I'll give you a juicy thing. You know, I did have a conversation with someone about whether I should respond to that attack ad with my own attack ad.
Right.
And I took the route of having a friend of mine who's mutual friends with my competitor.
Sure.
Call him and say, you know, take this down.
yeah, what the fuck?
This guy has all of this on you, and gave the specifics. And he's like, you know what? I don't have anything else against Ricky, but if he comes for me, I'll come for his family. And so it's like, yeah, I know my family's not perfect.
Well, that's crazy.
Right? But
That was a call
But
you
that's
had.
what I chose to do instead of just going with it.
That's wild. I will tell you this: the number one theme that we had, and we made a lot of political ads for different people. Every time we were making attack ads, and we were writing some stuff.
Yeah.
But true stuff.
Oh man, I had a whole season
Yeah.
of a soap opera. Like no joke.
We were writing good stuff, but every candidate on the Democratic side was like, I don't want you to say that. I don't want to. I
Yeah.
want to take his name out. I don't want to. Let's just say leaders in Tallahassee. And people, I felt like, man, when are we going to take the gloves off and say like, no, man, you did this. What you did wasn't cool, and people need to know
But
about it.
there's two sides to that too, right? Y'all understand the power of media,
Of course.
but there's a downside to that too because we didn't just get here.
Right.
Right. There are a lot of Democrats and a lot
Yeah.
of independents.
Right.
That don't like that.
Right.
And the moment you do it, you might gain some people.
You might gain some, but you might alienate
but
some
you'll,
other
you'll
people.
but you'll kill yourself.
Right.
You know, with other people.
Does the truth matter? I guess is
Honestly,
what you-
honestly, on the west side of town, I think that truth matters less.
Yes.
And we could have run those attack ads and not gotten hit with Democrats and independents because they're more conditioned to it.
Right.
And they believe it.
Right.
Than
But
if
now-
I would
but-
have been running in Coral Gables, or if I would have been running in
Or
in
nationally.
Brickell. Yeah.
Or nationally, maybe not.
Yeah.
I just feel like at some point,
For example, look at someone like Nick Durant,
yeah.
who ran for state or who's a state representative.
Right.
Yeah, him and I got the same attack ad almost, basically,
Right.
against us. He's in a more affluent neighborhood where they'll look at that ad and be like, that's ridiculous,
Right.
that's
How could you-
insane,
right,
that's
right.
disgusting. The same ad runs against
You-
me.
and it's just like, oh my god,
Oh my
Rick is
God! Can we
terrible.
trust this guy? Can we trust him? AOC and Bloomberg. You know, he had his whole career for 10 years in D.C. I'm like, 10 years in D.C.
Do people older than you, do they think these ads are real? Do your parents watch TV and they just think
Yeah.
whatever is on TV,
Oh yeah,
they think it's just real?
yeah, and not just real. It's compelling to them.
That's wild.
I joke with people.
People like us. We make these ads.
But there's truth. Okay, and I used to make this joke as a consultant. You know, we're conditioned. Like I told you,
Sure.
like, we are mentally conditioned for these things. Latino communities are conditioned to a good soap opera, right?
It's a good.
Like
they want the.
they want the drama.
It's a drama.
They want it's not politics unless it is.
Right.
Like, so someone like David Rivera can come back like a cat with 9 lives, no matter what he does, right? And someone like Marco Rubio lasts and succeeds as much as he does
It's wild.
because the drama is exciting, it's exhilarating. People want to listen to it.
So, like, well, do you think the Democrats need to change up their strategy to win? Like, is the goal to win, or is it to win in the way that we want to win, or is it just to win?
I think we need to understand, and I had this conversation with Ana Escamani,
Yeah.
Representative Ana Escamani, shortly after the election, and I'll say it. I'll say her name because she's not going to shy away from this. I told her, Anna, there has to be space in the party for both you and for me. If you're running for higher office, I got you. You're good at what you do.
Right.
But there has to be space in the Democratic Party in Florida for a progressive and a moderate.
Right.
If we can create that space for each other and not bash each other every chance we get because we're other from
Right.
each other within the party, right? Then maybe we can. So you could have moderate Democrats running in more conservative districts using different tactics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could have more progressive candidates running in more progressive parts of the city
Right.
or county
Right.
or state
And all be on the
not
same
bashing
team.
each other.
Right. And that's what happens so much within the Democratic Party.
And that's what needs to change.
Do you think that Florida will change? Do you think that it is like it's still right on the cusp? It could kind of swing either way, blue or red. Do you feel like it could change? Do you feel like a different governor? I'm curious to think what you think about who should be governor, what you think about DeSantis in general, his handling of COVID. Do you feel like it's kind of going to, the leadership of Florida in general, do you think it's going to kind of stay completely split? Or do you think it's going to shift at some point? And in which way?
I think 2022 is going to be an interesting year.
Yeah.
It can go two ways. I've told Andrew Gillum, and I told him just a couple months ago, I'm like, if you weren't black, you would have been governor.
Yeah.
I told him that.
Yeah.
I mean, is being black worth, 30,000 votes?
Yeah.
In that election.
Yeah, probably.
In the Latino community, it is.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Right.
And I'm not saying that, like, it's not an anecdote.
No, but it's just
you
like-
look at Hillary Clinton
yeah.
and what she pulled
The
in 2016.
numbers were there.
And in
Numbers were there.
2018,
Yeah,
the percentages.
I mean, we know that. I mean, being
Yeah.
white has its advantages.
So then you have people like Val Demings, a badass congresswoman who was rumored to be the VP pick, has been praised by Democrats and Republicans in Central Florida, right? A former chief of police. And then so you say, hey, she's got a great profile.
Right.
Her husband's the mayor of the county, Orange County. So she can draw up support
Right.
and bring out the vote in the central part of Florida, which is what we've all been talking about, the Puerto Rican
Yeah.
vote in Orlando.
Yeah.
That's
The rest of the state.
And so you think of stuff like that. But again, is she a moderate or is she progressive? Are we going to clash so much against each other in a primary for a battle of ideology
Right.
within the Democratic Party that we set ourselves up
for
Yeah,
losing?
And,
Right.
and look at what happened to Andrew, right? He got endorsed by Bernie Sanders in the primary, and they bashed him for it so much.
Right.
He goes and wins the primary, but then they use
That
the
against
bashing
him.
against each
Yeah.
other in the primary
Right.
to then
And then it's just writing a script for Republicans. They're like, oh, great, thank you.
So and then you have Ana Escamani, who has created a crazy following on social media, right?
Yeah.
You have people that are attacking her and then getting all the retribution from
Right.
her Bernie Bros, right? Or her
right.
Pete Army or whatever. Like,
The Pete Army.
right?
Do you think Gillum should run again? After all the shenanigans, like, do you like everything, the controversy? Do you think he should run? Do you think is he the best candidate for Florida governor?
I think that Andrew will run again and should run again.
Okay.
Because he is the prototype of what I've been saying we've been lacking running for governor. We need someone that inspires people.
Sure.
And you can't take away from Andrew Gillum, no matter what mistakes he makes, that he inspired people.
Do you feel like we're a party of mistakes, though? Do we accept people that make mistakes? Or will that just
We don't.
Right. So does he have a shot? I mean, photos are out. You know what I mean?
And honestly,
Like, if I Google Andrew Gillum and hit images,
Oh,
I
God.
see things.
so, but I mean, even then, right? Listen. I'm gonna do Andrew a solid. You know, in the gay community, he
Yeah.
probably gained votes, then lost votes with that.
Yeah.
know,
What is that?
In the vain community, right? The quietly vain community, they'll be
Sure.
like, "Wow, yeah,
I couldn't-
You know, you go, man.
I couldn't give a shit. Like, to me, I'm like, look, dude, it doesn't really matter to me that you're hooking up with whoever you're hooking up with. That's not a thing. And I think it says something to be like, man, you know, everyone knows what it's like to have to, you know, try to hide or live that kind of lifestyle. And so, like, I don't knock them for it personally, but I don't know if other Democrats feel the same way. I think in the gay community, hopefully people can you know.
Oh no, I'm saying. So you probably read this wrong, right? You're saying images appear on social media that
Sure.
you know, whatever. I'm saying
Those
that the
images-
vanity of the gay community is like,
Those images are great.
hey man,
Right?
you go, Andrew.
I see what you're working with, brother. Right. No.
You know why? Because I mean, speaking as a gay man, like I've been judged my
That's what
entire
I'm saying.
life.
That's what
right?
I'm saying. So you
Like,
could resonate with that.
Yeah, and honestly, you talk to the gay community about the promiscuity and all this other stuff, the partying, the celebration, and the outward expression, right? And I say to people, you know, up until a couple of years ago, we couldn't get married.
Right. That's
Right?
new.
We still have issues, and you're gonna judge us for creating the only safe space or creating the only senses of enjoyment that we were allowed to have.
Why is the gay community so non-judgmental?
Oh, we're super judgmental.
I mean, but not really.
You know?
But judgmental, but not really. You know what I mean? Very
Yeah.
like this mistake you want to say with Andrew. They're not bashing him for it. Like
I think it's more so because it's so hard to have a good life and to enjoy that life as a person in the LGBTQ community, because you're constantly fighting against so many different things that, you know, that judgment on others is one that someone could turn around and pass judgment on you for.
Sure, but I'm just saying when
Yeah.
when he came out, he went and did, what did he do? Gail or Oprah? He did something. He went on.
I think he talked to Gail.
He
maybe?
talked to
Yeah.
Gail and he did a thing, and he was like, "Look, I'm also coming out as bi." People were not like, "Man, oh fuck this guy." People were like, "Man, yeah."
And even
people were
straight
like
people.
people were like with him.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that community is non-judgmental in that way. But then you look at kind of the Democrats as a whole, a lot of Republicans feel that like Democrats just have their noses in the air all the time.
Yeah.
That they feel like they're better than people that live in Nebraska, or, you know what I mean? And like that's usually what like kind of holds them back from even hearing an argument.
Yeah, to a certain extent, that's true. I mean, Republicans know that they're not perfect, right? Like I made the joke earlier. It's not there's truth in every joke.
Sure.
Saying that, oh, someone like David Rivera or
Rubio,
or
right.
Marco Rubio
Right.
can do so many crazy effed up things,
Crazy.
and still not and be okay and have a ninth life. Now that's different. It's different for women, and I've more intentionally thought about. Look at someone like Anita de Flores, the former state senator for the west side of Miami-Dade County and Monroe County. You know, she had an indiscretion and was shunned by Republicans, and now
Right, that's it.
And now is out. Like
Right, she's out.
She was considered to be lieutenant
Right.
governor, maybe
Sure.
the next governor, the first female Republican governor of the state of Florida, and all of a sudden there's a scandal,
And that's it.
and then
Good night.
that's it for her.
Interesting.
And so that's different. So if you're a Republican male, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Sure. If you're a Republican white male, you have it's a fucking super.
Oh,
You're an
yeah.
Avenger.
Yeah, look, what's
Fucking
his
Captain
name?
America.
Yeah, what's his name that says the craziest things? The state rep.
Who? Don't fucking say his name.
Sabatini.
Who, blackface? I fucking hate that guy.
Sabatini. You said, yeah.
I hate that guy.
Listen, and the
I hate
fact
that guy. Like everything that I saw on Twitter, the stuff that this dude says. I wish if there was an easy button I could press to take him off the face of the planet, I would press it.
And that's why in Florida, you can say, "Oh, there's Republicans leaving the Republican Party in Tampa." That's a true thing. It's happening in Pinellas County and Hillsborough County. That's not happening down here.
Right.
That's not happening where Sabatini runs and wins.
And
we have to understand
who's
that.
the other guy I don't like? Getz? Where's he?
Gates.
That's not happening up
Look,
there.
I just saw on CNN this morning, Gates went to Cheney's Senator Cheney's district in where is she in Wyoming, I think.
Right.
And had a rally, an anti-Cheney rally.
Wow.
Because she is the third
Wow.
most powerful Republican in the Senate, and she's like, yeah, I'll vote to convict Donald Trump. I think
Wow.
he should be impeached. Right.
Wow.
Like real things. So if you're a woman in the Republican Party,
Yeah,
you don't have as much.
You can't have any wiggle room.
Yeah, you have no wiggle room. If you're a man, a white man in the Republican Party, you can do whatever you
Then
want.
you do whatever you do. Do you think? So do you think Gillum can make a comeback?
I think he can. I think he will.
I'd vote for him.
Honestly, again, I said, look, we don't have many Democrats, even now.
Right.
That we don't have many that are in office right now that inspire you.
Explain to people the difference between state legislation and national. Tell them what state rep actually means. Like people don't even understand. People think you're going to DC. Explain to them how like state government works and what your job would have been, where it is, and then tell them what you know on the national level too.
What I'll tell you is, and it'll make the most sense to people listening, as a state representative or a state senator, right? One district is bigger than the other. There are two chambers. One is the higher chamber, one is the lower chamber. At the state level, you're impacting things every day. People live things. Right. For example, just yesterday, they moved past a bill in Tallahassee, where the state capital is, to put restrictions and put ramifications on people that are peacefully protesting or peacefully gathering. Right. They're putting the power, and they're putting more power and less restrictions on police.
Right.
In these situations.
And that's happening. My point is, it's happening. That stuff that's happening here in Florida that will affect you.
And it's quick, right? This passes now, and in 1, 2, 3 months, it's enacted.
Law, right.
It's law. And by June or July, we can't peacefully protest.
Right.
Right. You're giving
crazy stuff.
And in a state where you had Parkland, and you found fault in the response by police, you have a transgender person murdered in Tallahassee, and nothing happens.
Right.
You have police doing very irresponsible things already as it is in these situations last year.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
At these BLM rallies.
Right.
And still, right, because you live in a Trump state, and I people have to understand that. It's not a Republican state.
Right.
You think of Mitt Romney. You think of you think of Dick Cheney.
Right.
You think of
people that
Bush.
People that had some sort of
right?
values.
No, this is a Trump Republican state.
Right.
There are other Republicans here, but the ones in power at the head of the state Republican Party,
right,
in the governor's mansion,
office, right,
in Mar-a-Lago,
right,
they're the ones in power in the Republican Party. I have friends in the young Republicans in Miami-Dade County who have been pushed out of their own young Republicans by Trump Republicans.
Wow.
And so then
they were and he will move people out to move somebody else in who's more supportive.
And honestly, they can do that much easier because they're the party of strategy and cutthroatness, right? We're the party of caring about people's rights,
equal for everybody, and blah blah blah. Do you feel like when you were running, did you consider the fact that you were gay? Like, were you like, I'm gonna run? But was it even a thought like, I am gay? Like, did you think that was gonna affect you? Did it affect you?
Honestly, that's the one thing that I can say that I'm super proud of my community. It never became an issue in the campaign.
Wow.
And it says something that my Republican opponent did so much to try and bash me and never brought that up. It must,
Why do you think
Republicans do everything based on polling and research?
Right.
Right. They don't use an attack like
Unless it's
like defund the police or
Right.
or what have you, unless it's backed by the numbers.
Right.
Right. So they must have run the numbers. I ran the numbers.
And we're like-
right.
and we're
what
like,
on what the issues are, and how people respond to different things, what people agree with and what people don't agree with, and so it meant something that I wasn't attacked
Interesting.
on that. Granted, I have to understand my privileges too, right? I'm a white presenting male, Cuban American background, right? I have a college education. I have a graduate education. I've been the leader of my party in the county.
Right.
And I'm going up against someone who never went to college, who
Sure.
has a lot of baggage in his background.
Sure.
That would make any Catholic or Christian, like sweat at church if they were going to church, right? Like that's how bad
that's
his
good.
background is.
That's hilarious.
And so he also has to think about what punches he pulls and which ones he doesn't.
So what's next for you?
Right now, actually on the drive up here, I was talking to people. I want to train people to run.
Wow.
Like I think that there's opportunity now to say, maybe you don't need to be paying those consultants so early on in a campaign. You can set yourself up for success,
Yes.
right? And then bring people in when it matters.
What does it say about someone like Stacey Abrams and someone who's not in power, but ultimately has the power?
Stacey's great. She endorsed me in the election cycle. I should put that plug in. But what Stacey did was she understood.
Because she was like, she ran, it was close, she lost, but then she was like, I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to put my efforts here.
Well, I've talked to her about that. She never said she's never doing it again. And she says it's a common misconception people have. She never said she's never running again. She just said she didn't want to be vice president.
Right.
Right. She's like, I don't want to be that's not what I want.
That's not what she wanted.
And ultimately, right, the movement that she's created out of nothing and has gotten to where it is today, it's wild because she didn't sell out.
Right.
She didn't sell out to the establishment
100%.
and what they wanted her to do.
And look at Georgia, man.
Yeah, and look at Georgia. And Georgia's changed. I've talked to people in Cook County, candidates that ran in Cook County and other counties there.
Right.
And they say you see it.
Wow.
But that's because she didn't sell out.
Right.
And she didn't do something because they told her that was her next step. Many people told her, and when she didn't answer, they went to the press to try and force her to say,
like, hey, if
she's
you,
running for Senate,
if
she's
you
running
want
for this.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want this, you need to do this.
But she said no.
She said, fuck that. I'm just going to do my thing.
She's like, fuck that, because there's a bigger picture.
Right.
Right. You can win an election, right, and give one up for the Democrats on one side or the other.
It's like she's more powerful now.
It's
like she's more powerful now.
And now, look, if she runs for governor,
Forget it. Game.
right?
Game.
Right?
Yeah.
But in 4 years, she didn't just. I mean, we're foreshadowing that she wins that
Right.
election.
Sure.
Which, right now, based on what the information we have, we can see a path to victory for her
Path to
that's
victory.
clear.
Right.
Right. But then in that 4 years from loss to victory, she changed the state.
She changed the state.
Right. Running
A
it.
state like Georgia. Not
Yeah.
like she changed like Maryland.
And what would she have done running as a running mate as vice president?
Right.
What would she have done running in Ossoff's position for the U.S.
Sure.
Senate instead, which is what people rumored or pushed her to do? What would she have done?
Yeah.
She would have been focused on her campaign,
Right.
and getting herself out. And this
got
movement.
She got Biden in. She got Warnock in. She got Ossoff in.
Yeah.
She's a force.
And so not to compare anything that I've done to her, but I don't know if anybody knows. I didn't pay any consultants
Right.
in my race for state house.
Right.
Everybody and their mother's like, oh, go with this consultant, go with that consultant,
Right.
do this, do that, give this person that money, or line these different people's pockets so that
right.
people don't
Right.
come up against you. And I was like,
And you didn't go that way.
well,
and
this is the bottom of the ticket, man. This is like the bottom.
Right.
The business that I'm going to be bringing to you, is
chicken nuggets.
it's a penny in the bucket
Sure.
compared to what you're doing everywhere else. And how do you get younger millennial generation? How do you get middle of their career, right? Democrats, people that are actually leading in their industries, to say, yeah, I'll run for this.
right.
right?
Interesting.
If you put up all these walls and all these barriers and all this money, right? I ended up raising over $500,000.
Wow.
And people are like, how the hell did you have a $200,000 television ad buy?
Right.
You know, because
Right.
people are like, oh, but aren't you paying consultants?
Right, I didn't have to pay,
You know, 50% of
right.
everything
Sure,
you
sure.
raise.
Wow.
On top of, you know, on all your mail, all your this, all your that. It makes a difference for a campaign to be able to put themselves in the best position possible. Obviously, there's things that you learn in doing that, right?
Of course.
I learned there's certain things that you can cut corners in as a first-time candidate at the bottom of the ticket. There's other things that you shouldn't, and you should pay those consultants because they do a damn good job.
Right.
And you guys were a great example of that.
Right.
Right. When it comes to anything that's produced.
Right. Get it.
Right. That where the margin
Right.
of what it costs to produce that.
Right.
And the benefit that you
Of
get
it.
from
Yeah.
it is such a huge disparity.
Go for it.
Go for it. But something like mail.
Like
Right,
dope,
something
right.
that's like static,
Right.
You know,
Right.
one-dimensional. It's like
Sure.
you're paying 50, sometimes 60% of the cost
Right.
of each piece of mail to a
Wow.
consultant,
And then the value of that.
and the value of that is what you
Right.
know, because each piece of mail, only about 15 to 20% of people who get that in the mail actually read it.
Right.
So that's why you have to do
So many of them.
like every
Right.
week, twice
Just
a
opening.
week at the end of the campaign,
Wow.
because it's the repetition that matters. So for something like that, you know, you're spending $100,000 or more, and you're only getting like the value in the
Right,
product
right.
is half, if not
That's nuts.
less of that. So there's things that need
You've
to
learned a
change.
lot,
There's ways
yeah.
to democratize and make more competitive a lot of this work. And so I'm now looking at training candidates or identifying, profiling people who would be great to run if not for the financial barrier.
Will you do it again? Will you run again?
I don't know.
Man.
I look, everybody has an opinion, right? It's like belly buttons instead of something else I can say. Everyone's got one, right? I've gotten so many calls, and it's like far-fetched stuff. It's like crazy stuff.
Right.
But most of the calls you get are from consultants who are like, it's not about. Oh,
So you don't
you're-
really. You're like.
No,
do you
it's like we can raise money. I'm like, yeah, you could raise, like you could take my profile and raise an exorbitant amount of money, right? And I can run for this office. But to me, it's not just can I run and win an office. Is will I do anything there?
Right.
Will I give anything of value?
Right.
Will it matter?
Right.
And so you gotta weigh those things. And is it worth it? For a year and a half, I had no life.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, and as
yeah.
a single gay man,
yeah.
like think
Just
about it.
All
know?
you were doing.
like I can't do anything.
Ricky's
if I
trying
go to the beach,
Ricky's trying to go to the club.
no, not the club. If I
just
want
go
to go
beach.
to, and another joke, you know, I went to school with Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez or with
Okay.
AOC, and so I've been like, oh, I can invite her down, hang out, go to the beach.
No.
And I was like, no, we can't hang out. Maybe if we go to Fort Lauderdale or Hollywood Beach, and nobody knows that she came down from New York.
No,
we can hang out.
AOC is a.
But
big time.
I've told her, I was like, look, that's why I had that conversation with Anna.
Right.
We have to, and AOC has said it in her own Twitter after the election. She's like, look, I don't think that there's no place for moderates in the party. I just think that they can do better.
Yeah.
And if I can help push them to do better and be better, right? Better strategy,
Right.
Better message adherence, better messaging, and better position on issues that is, you know, coming together on issues as opposed to being radically different. And so I think she's right on that. I think she's right in that.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to be the same.
Right.
You know, the profile in every district across the country, from the lowest run of candidate to the highest office, you know, it's not the same. And as Democrats, we have to be able to understand, hey,
Right.
I'm not going to knock you for not being as
Exactly.
progressive as me.
I am. Right.
Right,
And you're
like-
not wrong.
Yeah,
There's a spot here for
right?
my thoughts.
And you can go back to the Latino, the Black community, many minority communities. It's
Right.
like I know I have a crazy uncle.
Right.
Right. And I know my brother is different than me.
Right.
I'm not going to blast him
Right.
for it at
Right.
family dinner.
Right. There you go.
Because
Because of it.
I want the attention.
Interesting.
And that's what we need to be able to start to say is we can get attention.
Right. But
And
we
it
don't
doesn't
have to
have
get
to be
it-
at the
we don't have to
expense of
get it-
someone else.
Man, this is Ricky, everyone. One of the most dynamic candidates that I really wanted to win. But tell everyone where they can follow you and stay up to date with your decisions if you're going to run again or if you're not going to run again.
Find me on social media at Ricky for Florida or Ricky for FL.
There you go.
On Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter.
And we'll all somehow convince you to run again, and then but this way the beach days will happen somehow.
Oh, the beach days are already happening.
See, there you go.
Right? This is the year.
There you go. What do you say? What's that? Oh, we got to do a lightning round with you. I got
okay.
questions. Apparently, I'm supposed to ask you.
I knew it was coming.
This is a rapid response, Ricky. I just need quick answers here.
Let me just take a drink of water.
Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh my God.
Let's see.
Oh my God.
I said nothing was off limits. So
Okay. Who's worse, Cruz or McConnell?
Cruz.
Man, what a crazy.
You know
world
why?
that you just said Cruz.
Because that
crazy
question would have
world.
had a different answer before.
Right?
Before the
January.
Senate the Senate races. McConnell's a lot less of a factor. Cruz is a villain and is a problem. And it's the same thing with Marco Rubio. They've decided to embrace and hold on to this Trumpism rather than be who they were when they ran against him in the primary.
AOC or Pelosi?
You know, no, listen, AOC and I went to school together. I love her as a person, but Pelosi was there for me on day one as an intern in the House, and her staff is the highest people in her office are gay men, and they run her shop and they do a kick-ass job. So I love her. I love her whole team. She's always been there.
Wow.
And she's always been supportive. You can knock her for so many things, but nobody else would have held Trump to account in the way she did in his administration, and the class and the way in which she has done her job. And to think, look at what Democrats did when they were voting in 2018 for leadership, and look at where they are now. All of the progressive members acknowledging this is who we need to lead us right now. Obviously, set up a path for succession, right? Mm-hmm. But this is who we need to lead us right now. To go in 2 years, go from wanting to push her out to saying, you know what, she not just earned and deserves this, right? But she is the person to do the job right now.
All right. You can never get a haircut again or never go to a restaurant again. Which one?
Ooh.
This is COVID questions, Ricky.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I haven't had a haircut in a while, and I haven't trimmed the beard in a while.
So you're going.
I'd rather go to a restaurant.
So you're just gonna go
get a
to a restaurant and be hairy.
Yeah, you know, I can wear a hat.
You're gonna be hairy, Ricky.
I can wear a hat.
Look how deep it's gonna go.
Or I'll go and do laser and never technically, go bald finally, like everyone asked me to, and never have to worry about it again.
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. What do you get? Spirit Airlines or Frontier Airlines? Are you familiar with Frontier?
Yeah, I was gonna say I love Frontier. I travel for a living.
Okay, so you're going Frontier.
Yeah, Frontier leaps and bounds over Spirit.
Frontier or Allegiant?
Frontier.
Okay. Worst airline of all time?
Allegiant.
Allegiant.
Why'd you bring it up? I just wanted
to make sure you were aware.
Where'd it come from?
I just wanted to make sure you were aware that
Spirit's pretty bad, but
Allegiant can
listen.
If you want to know what we want a wild ride. Get out of Allegiant.
I've been
Didn't
on
you work at
biplanes.
Allegiant? Katie worked there at Allegiant.
Then she knows.
Allegiant was actually on the rise until Katie started working there.
Oh, really?
Actually one of the reasons.
Frontier was actually sold. It's owned by, I think, American or something like that now.
Bezos or Musk?
I like the new S-Class from Tesla that they just started taking.
But Amazon.
Huh?
You know what are you gonna do with Amazon?
Look, so Bezos is a South Florida homeboy and is Cuban American.
Okay.
But Amazon, there's a lot of bad with Amazon, man.
Oh, so you're going. With
and
Tesla.
you know what? I ordered an air purifier back in the first week of January from Amazon, and that shit's still not here. I put in a claim. They gave me my money back. It's like, you might still get this package. And it's like 3 weeks later, I'm tracking the package on UPS, being like, oh yeah, I got a free air purifier. That shit still ain't here. And I talked to UPS, and they're like, we don't know where it is. You can file a claim with UPS. I'm like, I already got my money back. I just wanted a free air purifier now.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does and then you track it, right? You track this UPS package. It says, oh, it originated in Kansas City.
I can't
right?
deal.
It originated in Kansas City. The last known place it was in Canada.
There you
It's
go.
like, how do you go from Kansas City to Canada to get to Miami, Florida.
That's
But the last time it was scanned was in freaking Canada.
So you upset about it?
It blows your mind. The fact that you get upset about something like this.
It's good. It's
Is
so good.
crazy.
It's so good.
That's 21st century stuff.
That's
man.
the best stuff I've ever heard. So you're
Sorry.
great. Go. So everyone, this is Ricky. Ricky, thanks for so much for coming on the show, man.
Yeah.
This is Uncreative Radio.
Thank you so much.